Hello, Anky Spondy. So, as a reminder to anyone that's new to my channel, I am 55 years old and I have ankylosing spondylitis. I also had juvenile arthritis at age 16. So thank you so much for visiting today, and remember to subscribe when you get a chance. Today I wanted to speak about traveling. I decided recently to do a short trip to South Carolina. I live in Ontario. I was visiting my cousins there. And I was leaving. It was going to be a short trip, so this can be especially difficult. Sometimes you think, oh, a long trip could be difficult, but I think shorter ones are tougher because you have less recovery time after your visit and after you get home to kind of adjust. So what I did is a few things. I packed and wore on the plane compression socks. They do an amazing job at helping with the swelling. If you have an extra lot of swelling everywhere, you could probably wear compression pantyhose. But if you're a guy, I guess you can still wear compression pantyhose, but I wore the knee-high socks. So I wore those, and I personally get kind of a jazzy color to make them extra fun. They come in all different patterns these days. So I did that. I also carried my travel cane in my carry-on. I didn't need it this time. I also pre-arranged wheelchair help. So I usually don't have any problem walking to the gate itself when I get there, but I often will have pain and stiffness after the flight. So in this case, I had two different flights to get there. There was no direct. So the first flight was 2 hours and the second one was 1 hour. So I arranged for wheelchair access so that when after I'm off the first flight, then I can decide if I feel that I'm really stiff, I can ask, they take you by wheelchair, and it's a free of charge thing that you pre-book. If you forget to book, you can actually ask at the gate and they usually can accommodate you, but it's easier if you do it ahead of time. So if you get off the plane and you feel like you're stiff, you can use the wheelchair help. They have a porter that will help you, or if you have a family member, they can push you in the wheelchair. This time I was traveling alone. And then if you get off and you feel like, oh, I think I can do this, I'm feeling pretty good, which happened to me this time, you can just tell them politely at the gate, I have a wheelchair reserved, would you mind canceling it? I'm going to be okay walking. So that's great. So I didn't need it except for my trip home. I found that I was really tired for my trip, and I used it in my last transport when I got to, actually it was at the Atlanta airport because I was in a different gate area, a different terminal actually. So I did use it at that point, but then I didn't use it when I got back to Buffalo Airport in New York. So that is one thing that's also great. So those two things. I also always pack in my bag, my carry-on, enough medication, not just for my trip, but 3 to 4 days extra, just in case for any reason the flight is canceled, my trip is delayed, anything like that, because you don't want to be stuck without your medicines. I also pack an extra injector pen that I wouldn't need for a whole nother week, but I just pack an extra just in case, because they can stay out of the refrigerator for 30 days as long as they don't get above 25 degrees Celsius, or Celsius, I get confused sometimes between the two, or you can't let them freeze. So I usually put those in my carry-on. The other thing I do is I bring a bunch of moisturizers with me on the plane because my skin is extra dry now on all the medicines. I don't know if it has anything to do with the disease, but I do find that. And then I also allow my time, like when you're going somewhere, this case I was visiting family, so I felt really good about napping or sleeping whenever I needed to. But if you're going to visit people that maybe don't know about your limitations, just let them know, look, I get really exhausted from flying and traveling. I may be extra tired, I might need to go bed early. That way they're not planning. I wouldn't suggest you plan anything for late at night, especially the day after you get there. I find my body was just exhausted, and I had quite a bit of pain after the first day of traveling. So, and then also when I get home, I try to have buffer time. So if I don't, I love to actually have a whole day in between for resting and recovering. But if not, at least trying to get home earlier in the day before you have to work the next day is a really good thing to do. So I did that as well. And also, I mean, I just get super puffy when I fly, regardless of, well, my feet are better with the compression socks, but I just get puffy in general. And so that's kind of how I worked it out with my traveling. It worked out pretty well. I had just still recovering from my foot surgery, so I had to wear my air cast. I wore my shoes at some points during the trip, but the air cast I kept on during the plane because I knew that my foot was going to swell. So if you have any braces you wear, you may want to wear them on the plane. So I actually had a great time. I encourage you to go out and visit people. Oh, the other thing I did is I paid an extra $40 round trip to get comfort seat. It's not like fancy, it's not first class or anything like that, but it gives you a little bit extra foot room in your airplane seat. So I always get that because it's not a big extra charge. It gives you more foot room, and it also tends to get you can kind of pick your seat and be in the aisle. I like to be in the aisle because if you have to make frequent bathroom trips, or if in general you just want to stretch out a little bit more, it can be easier if you're in the aisle seat. So whatever you prefer in that way. So I hope that helps. I hope you're going out and taking lots of trips. Make sure you're staying hydrated on your flight. But I did it. I had a lovely time. Yes, I was exhausted. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it was no big deal. I was really tired. I do much better on longer trips because I have more recovery time. And usually by the second day, I'm like ready to go. Second day of a 10-day trip. This time was a little bit more difficult, but like I said, I was visiting family, and that made it a little bit easier to communicate what my needs were. Have a great day out there, and try to travel and see family. It's really good for the soul. Bye.